There are growing concerns with our health in today's society. It seems everywhere we turn, we are bombarded by claims of what is healthy and what's not. It can seem very confusing and contradictory at times. However, there seems to be one consistency in all its ambiguity, which is that we have to stay hydrated. And what better way to stay hydrated by drinking high quality, no sugars added, pure H2O, otherwise known as water. Nevertheless, we must also be aware of how beneficial the water we drink is, which brings me to my major claim. Tap water is more beneficial than bottled water. I will prove this by showing tap water is regulated effectively. Second, tap water has health benefits that most bottled water lack. Third, the plastic from bottled water has environmental risk. Claim number 1, tap water is regulated effectively. Some people are assured that bottled water is safe to drink because it is regulated by a government agency, the FDA, the Food and Drug or the Food and Drug Administration. Tap water is regulated as well. Tap water is regulated by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, which was established under the Safe Drinking Water Act. This act was established to protect the quality of water and focuses on water intended for drinking purposes. The EPA tests for and regulates over 90 chemical and microbiological contaminants that are associated with public health, including arsenic and mercury. The EPA also regulates tap water on alkalinity, temperature, odor, color, pH, and water hardness. According to a New York City-based action group, an estimated 25% of bottled water is really just tap water in a bottle, sometimes further treated, sometimes not. We can see that tap water is regulated effectively enough to drink, and in some circumstances, it has significant health-related properties as well, which brings me to my second point. Tap water has health benefits that most bottled waters lack. Many people claim that tap water tastes bad because of the metals it contains. Some of these metals are beneficial for our bodies and are important for good health. Fluoride, calcium, and magnesium are some of the metals ions that you can find in tap water, but are often filtered out of bottled water. Fluoride is an important element which dentists across the country are convinced help keep teeth strong, and that's why you find fluoride in toothpaste. A diet that has sufficient calcium may reduce the rate of age-related bone loss and fractures. Magnesium is thought to prevent cardiac disease. According to Dr. Eisenberg, a research scholar of the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada, calcium and magnesium have high bioavailability in water. In his studies where he took water samples for tap water and for bottled water across the country, he found that bottled water has about half the amount of calcium and magnesium that is found in tap water. It is also believed that the plastics from the bottled water releases arsenic particles into the water, whereas tap water, which is typically drank from water fountains, reusable metal containers, or glass, eliminates the risk of these contaminants. On the topic of hazards from plastic bottles, I bring you to my third point. The plastics from bottled water has environmental risks. It is just as easy to refill a reusable metal container as it is to buy a bottle of Dasani or Aquafina each day. Plastic bottles are most commonly produced from crude oils. According to one of the leading environmental research groups, the Earth Policy Institute, to make plastic bottles to meet the demands of America, it requires 1.5 million barrels of oil annually. That's enough oil to fuel about 100,000 U.S. cars for a year. Another study by the Container Recycling Institute in Washington, D.C. reports that 86% of plastic water bottles become garbage or litter and will sit in landfills for 400 to 1,000 years to degrade. We can all agree that the plastics from these containers of bottled water is not only detrimental to our natural resources, but is also contributing to our growing amount of non-degradable waste. So, the next time you want to quench your thirst with water, remember that tap water is more beneficial than bottled water because it's just as regulated, more suitable for your well-being, and has lower impact on our earth.
All right, I like the setup at the beginning. You do label your claim pretty well, and you do have good supporting points laid out for us, but you rushed through that whole section like you were on your way to a bus, and you need to slow down a little bit while you're talking to us. You've got plenty of time, and there's no reason that you have to rush through. You signpost the supporting points as you get through them. The first and the third points were most clearly signposted. The second point, I think, is fairly distinct. If people are listening carefully, they'll be able to pick it out, but I didn't think it was quite as sharp. Your evidence, I thought that you had some good general evidence on a couple of these issues. One of the questions that pops into my head immediately is how much of people's minerals and nutrients do they actually get on a regular basis from the tap water. The fact that they have calcium and fluorides and a variety of other minerals in it is fine, unless, of course, they are getting all of their mineral needs from other sources, and then not having it in the tap water doesn't really matter that much, and then your comparison, I think, is undermined a little bit. The third point, depending upon how the proposition is phrased, it might not be relevant, because I think it's really the use of bottled water creates the problems, and then the issue about the bottles and the potential danger appears there. I think you need stronger evidence on any potential risk from leakage of the chemicals into the water that people are consuming. I didn't really hear any quantification on that. There's a little bit of information on the environmental issues concerning how much oil has to be used to produce them and the disposal of them. Both of those points also needed to be developed a little bit more. So it's kind of a bit sketchy on that. But the evidence that you presented was clear. It was cited for the most part. Again, it's just I'm not sure it's sufficient as it could be. You also didn't have a tendency to look down while you're speaking. So, pretty good organization, good citation of the information that you have. You need some more information on each of those points, and you need to make sure that your proposition is phrased clearly enough to justify including that third point. Thank you.